Welcome to Wei and Cathy Show. I'm your host Wei Fang. Today's a special session, and we will be making a big announcement. So before we get into that, let's just first talk about the topic of today. So today we have three topics for you. The first is the Wisconsin election. I'm sorry, what I'm talking about. The primary. Okay, Massachusetts primary just happened yesterday. I want to give you the scoop of what happened. And the second, the Senate race analysis. So Senate race has become a very very close run. Even it's the entire Senate race become a toss-up at this time, which includes like state of Wisconsin and Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, and Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. I don't know whether you are in one of those states, but they are all very, very important. And another topic we'll be bringing to you is Cathy will be interviewing a doctor, okay, talking about some very, very strange law that has passed in California State Assembly and Senate, and it's just up to the governor to sign. So very bizarre situation. All right, so let's first talk about the Massachusetts. So basically, this is what happened yesterday, right? So last Tuesday, this is a state with 6.9 million people and 9 Congress seats. House of Representatives were up for re-election. And but interesting enough, in the state assembly, the number of Democrat versus Republicans is 5-1. So it's a super majority. All right, or you call it a super blue state. But interesting enough, as we all know, that the governor Charles Baker, okay, Jr. He's a Republican, and so is the lieutenant governor. So how so? In such a deep blue state, you got a GOP governor. So basically, back in 2008, and Charles Baker stepped down from his business position and to run for governor of Massachusetts on a platform of fiscal conservatism and cultural liberalism, okay, but he lost. He came back again after 80 years in 2014. So Baker ran for governor again and then narrowly defeated the Democratic nominee Martha Coatley. So 48% to 46%. And of course, they run as a pair, right? He got his running mate who was also elected to be the lieutenant governor. So, and in the year of 2018, a poll by WBUR and Mass Inc. poll gave Baker a 74% approval rating, okay, making him the most popular governor in the United States. So it seems this, this is financially Republican and culturally liberal governor know how to run the state. All right, so he got a very good name. So then on the same year, he was reelected, this time handily over Democratic challenger, okay, and then he won with the 67% of the vote. This is the largest vote share in the Massachusetts gubernatorial election since 1994. All right. So, but now this year, and Baker now announced that he will not seek re-election in 2020. This year, and why? And he said that he will face challenge in the Republican primary. He doesn't think he would get the nomination, and why won't he run as an independent? He doesn't want to. Okay. Anyway, so he's not seeking re-election, and so is his lieutenant governor. So both positions for open for grab. And on the Republican side, former state representative Geoff Dale, okay, and entered the race, and so is Chris Doughty, and who is backed by prominent New Hampshire Republican governor Chris Sununu. Anyway, but Dale is endorsed by former President Trump. And so what's the result? Let me say that a bit later, okay? Dale is from Pennsylvania, okay? He studied government and urban studies in the Lyon University from Pennsylvania. And then later after graduation, he moved to New York City and worked in the advertising industry. Later, he moved to Los Angeles, working in the television production over there. And in 2001, he moved to his wife's hometown of Whitman, Massachusetts, where he has worked as a business development executive in the sign industry. Okay, and so in 2010, he was elected to be the 7th Plymouth District State Assemblyman. And then in 2018, he ran unsuccessfully against the incumbent Massachusetts senator, federal senator, Democratic U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren. All right. So then this time he's running, and he lost. He lost 36% versus 60%. So pretty big margin. All right. So this time he won. He won over Doughty, 54% versus 44%, and then become the GOP nominee. And I read from the web. Okay, there's a lot of response saying that you can beat you can beat other GOP candidate only you would hand this governor to the opponent because it's a deep blue state, and his opponent is the 2-term Attorney General Mara Healey. Okay, and who faced no challenger in her primary, so he won by 84%. And then both will be enter the midterm election on the November 8th. Okay, and Miss Healy majored in government at Harvard College and graduating in 1992. And she was her background is kind of interesting. She was the co-captain of the Harvard Crimson women's basketball team. After graduation, she spent 2 years playing as a starting point guard for a professional basketball team in Austria. Then upon returning to the States, he earned a JD from the Northeastern University School of Law in 1998. Then later, her legal career included like a clerking for a federal judge and spent more than 7 years at a private law firm, and also worked as a special assistant district attorney in Middlesex County of the Massachusetts. And then later he served by Massachusetts Attorney General Martha Coakley in 2007, and she served as the chief of the Civil Rights Division. And later she was appointed the chief of the Business and the Labor Bureau and of the Attorney General. And then in 2014, she ran for Attorney General of the state, and she won. And 4 years later, she got reelected. Okay, and yeah, so that's the story. So there's a lot of talk about that. The Healy will just win because it's a deep state, deep blue state, and so Trump could endorse Dale, and only to lose to this lady. So at this time, what do you think? This year, a lot of Democrat money is going over, participate or interfere with, however you call it, the GOP election primary. Okay, because they want to pick a weaker one. So for the November 8th election. So what do you think about that? Okay, I don't think that's moral, but they are looking at they're eyeing on to win, right? So in this case, why don't should Republican voters in Massachusetts chose a moderate person who can just win the independent or even win some, Democrats in a way that Charles Baker does. Charles Baker did, or not, or just go with your own choosing. So what do you think? I really want to know how you think about that. If you have your comment, which way would you choose? Leave your comment there. Okay, like say how to say that principle, okay, versus win. Principle versus win. Okay, if you can just leave one of those words there so that I know how you think. So going forward, next Tuesday, that will be Delaware and New Hampshire for primary, and the last 2 primaries, Rhode Island and Louisiana, and which is interesting, on the same date of November election. Okay, that will be all the primary. Okay, so overall, let's move on. Okay, let's move on. Look at the midterm election. So we got the Senate race. We got the 35 seats there. We got the House race, 435 seats there, and then it seems that House GOP has a big chance of winning the House, but on the Senate doesn't seem to be so easy, and it seems to be not just a toss-up, and Republican seems to be at some disadvantage. Why? Let me explain some background here. So there are 21 seats held by Republicans are up for grab, and only 14 held by Democrats are up for re-election. That's the first thing. So you got more castles to guard against and to guard, and versus some more castles to attack. And the second, 5 Republican senators decide to retire. Only 1 Democratic senator decide to retire. And if you compare this with the House, 22 Democrat House representatives decide to retire or not to seek re-election, versus only 10. So that's the one big difference. The second is more interesting. I would say, okay, the conventional wisdom, as I know in this country, is, this famous saying, "Is the money stupid?" Okay, election is always decided by the pocket of the people's pocket, and if the economy goes down, the ruling party will lose seats. If the economy is good, they will keep it. All right. So, but now it doesn't seem to be so. With the Biden administration's 2-year inflation at a 4 decades high, and you really live a somewhat different world than 2 years ago. Okay, the outcome of the race, Senate included, seems to be easy, but no. Okay, because of the abortion, because of all the other things, ideology conflict, it doesn't seem that Republican would have a sure win. So why so? Why the change? If I want to share with you my point of view, I think it's because young people grew out of school and they become voters, and then they think different than people like us. In certain sense, it's no longer the pocket, the money pocket count, is the people's value. Okay, and in certain sense, I see this election is between old people and young people. Like people viewing this channel, you guys. Okay, I got only 1.4%. They are between 25 and 34. All the other 98% are 35 and above. My most audience are people older than 65%, 65-year-old. Okay, the sad truth is the kids doesn't know the world that they have grown into. Okay, they are brainwashed by by their teachers in the public school, and they just naively think socialism is not a bad idea. And while we older people, we live through that, or at least I lived through that, and you heard enough about it, so you think that's a bad idea, but you cannot convince your kids. That's where we're facing now. Okay, so either when old people against young people, not say against old people versus young people. The old people does not seem to have much chance because the future belongs to the young people, right? Maybe we cannot avert this, or maybe we can. Why? Because there are people who know the truth, who know the situation, who know the world has tried communism in last century and causing 140 million people death. And we don't want to live this again. We don't want to live through the nightmare only, so that we can wake up. We don't want to enter the nightmare, don't we? So people like you and me, we need to do something. Okay, that's why we're here doing this show. However, another thing is that we have to have a place, a platform that we can, just propagate the message. And Cathy and I introduced you the platform of SafeChat, right? I just want you to know SafeChat has, we're moving on, okay? We're moving on from SafeChat to a new platform, which will be, I can say this, which will be the final platform, all right? This is a platform of the future. We'll be there and we'll stay there, and we will see that succeed. It's growing very fast, okay? And so that's that. And the name is called Ganjing World, okay? Ganjing World. Let me just, if you pay attention to the, the top chat, I want to type up here the website, the Ganjing, yeah, it's already there, okay? Ganjing World, okay? Go there, and that will be the platform that has no censorship, that will, be the true forum of freedom, of free speech. So this is the first big change there. And today, Cathy will bring her content, which has to do with a very bizarre law just passed in the California, and to subject all those doctors and the physicians and the surgeons to lawsuit. Okay, so and Cathy will be having those there. So Ganjin World, mark that. Okay, we are moving on from Safe Chat to Ganjin World, and we need you to go there with us again. And over there, I think we can grow fast, we can grow well, and that's what would happen. Okay, and then so now there's with a little okay. There's a little episode. This has to do with the California. Yeah, just bear with me a little bit. So let me just share with you what's happening here. And so California, state legislature at the end of August, okay, passed the legislation that would punish doctors who dissent from the government's messaging on a particular virus. And what it is, I won't mention that because otherwise we got into trouble. Then California Assembly Bill 2019-8 was introduced by Democratic Assemblyman Evan Lowe from the Silicon Valley. It would amend the state's business and professions code to give, hear me out here, to give the Medical Board of California the discretionary power to discipline physicians or surgeons who spread, quote, disinformation or disinformation related to this particular virus. Okay, and then why California lawmakers passed such a bill? What would be the consequence on the doctors and the patients in California should this bill is signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom? And Cathy interviewed a medical doctor who would easily fall into the category of this bill and who also at this time running for the California State Senate in the primary election trying to make changes to California, Dr. Michael Huang. By now, you can probably guess what the virus is, okay? And understand why we cannot talk about the topic here. So please get ready to get onto the channels on Ganjin World and watch this feature interview. As you are getting ready, let's get a sneak peek of, Cathy's interview with Dr. Huang. So please get ready for the Wei and Cathy show on a new platform, which will be, strong and prosperous. Ganjin World. Ganjin World, in Chinese is called clean. Okay, Ganjin literal translation is clean, a clean world. So let's take a look.
I could see 20, 30 people in a day. What they perceive, what I say to them, could be completely different from one person to another. And one person were to report me as quote unquote spreading false information, and my license will be liable to be revoked or punished or investigated. And no physician wants to do that. So in a sense, the quality of medical care is going to suffer. Trying to pass a bill out like this is a witch hunt, like I mentioned earlier. And that's the culture of California nowadays, right? Trying to find fault in people, trying to generate more and more bills and regulations that does nothing but make our life difficult, make things more expensive to operate.
Somehow it reminds us of Dr. Li Wenliang in Wuhan.
In this socialist state, communist state, anything goes, right? If you want to speak the truth and if it doesn't, if it's not in line with what the government wants, I think a lot of bad things can happen to you. And hopefully that's not going to be the case with United States of America. California is definitely becoming more and more like the People's Republic of California. It's becoming like a socialist state.
So what do you think, this type of bill, if it's signed into law, what is going to do to the doctors like you?
I am the only physician, one of the few that are not afraid to speak up. When I see something is not right, I'll speak up, and I will advocate for my patient. I always put their health as my priority. So definitely my career, my days in California is numbered. Unfortunately, if this is what California want, this is what they're going to get. Right? At what point would people actually wake up and say, "Oh no, oh my goodness, we need to have a smaller government. We need to reduce tax. We need to make sure that we have freedom of speech." When will that come? Would it be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Would it be that every major business have left California? Would it be that San Francisco and Los Angeles is a place that no one will ever want to visit? At what point will we wake up? I don't know. It is up to the people of California to decide.